by this group of men to come back.
USA on one. USA!
Third gold in a row. Rio, Tokyo, and now Paris.
Coming to you from the Olympic City, Colorado Springs, Colorado, this is the USA Volleyball Show. And here are your hosts, Steven Munson and Sevrin Lavenstein.
Hello and welcome to the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball. What's going on, everybody? It's been a minute. Your hosts are a little exhausted from a lot of travel. I can't believe that it took so long to get over the jet lag, but I was so thankful to go to Thailand with the U.S. women's national team. That was a lot of last month. Steven Munson is still recovering from his trip with the U.S. men's national team in the Philippines. So your hosts have been all over the globe. But the events just keep rolling on. I mean, we've got the World Para-Volley Sitting World Cup. That's coming up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And then, of course, I mean, we're all super excited to be back in the U.S. for Elite 16 Newport. That is going to be October 7th through 11th. So we've got that going on. So once we get all well rested and we're back going, we're going to be right with you through all these events. And of course, you already know the drill that you can follow everything on usavolleyball.org. You can check out the events calendar. You can buy your tickets for Elite 16 Newport. You can see when everything is happening. So if you have any more questions, you always head over there. And without further ado, we are so happy to be back recording the USA Volleyball Show podcast in the US. And we got a pretty special guest to do that with us. Not only is she going to help us preview the Elite 16 Newport, she's sitting down with us on her birthday. It's Terese Cannon. Terese, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It is so cool to have you. I can't believe you're taking probably an hour to sit down with me on your birthday. We're discussing what you're going to do, where you're going to go to get food, but we're going to dive into all things about you, your playing time, your career. But first off, I mean, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You know, what has this day been like? Is this another training day for you at this point?
Yeah, but I mean, the weather's beautiful. Can't beat Southern California in October. And so we practiced this morning. We had like a meeting with the USA staff, and I'm excited to be here. And yeah, it's been a good day so far.
Absolutely. I mean, October is always the best month in my opinion because it's the real start of fall. I know it's like technically September, but now we're into it. And then of course, it being your birthday, that's amazing. So we're going to start with not only I feel like October is just going to be your month, but you've been on a roll. You're coming off of 2 medals in the last 2 Elite 16 events, just absolutely cruising. I believe a silver and a bronze, both in Brazil. Mm-hmm. Just walk us through that experience, what it's been like for the last couple of events, just being really on your game with you and Meg.
It's been so fun. Brazil, I feel like, is a very special place to play. Like, it's crazy. The people in Brazil love to watch beach volleyball, and they love to support their Brazilian teams. And so in both tournaments, we played a handful of Brazilian teams, and playing in the stadium against Brazil in Brazil is an experience, I think, unlike anything else. And so it was really cool. It was really fun. We won some of those matches, lost some of those matches, and it was a very rewarding couple of weeks from that standpoint, is that I feel like in the past, sometimes the home team advantage, like working against us, is hard, but I feel like we were able to fight through that and kind of win the crowd over in some matches. And so it was a really, really cool couple of weeks.
So you talk about playing, the Brazil teams, but you get there and you play U.S. national teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we ask a lot of athletes about that all the time, the mental aspect of it when you get to all the way across the country or wherever you may be, and then you're playing someone who you'll practice with on Hermosa or whatever. What is that like? I know that's such a base level question, but you're all the way there and then you've got to play another U.S. national team.
It's totally different. I feel like playing other American teams than playing teams from other countries. I think it's always a little bit harder because they know our game so well. I feel like we know their game pretty well. We're friends with a lot of them. Like Molly Shaw is one of my best friends. And so playing against her in 2 medal matches back-to-back weeks is never easy, but also pretty cool and pretty fun. And I think it speaks to the level of USA Volleyball that they have 2 teams competing against each other in medal matches and back-to-back weeks. And so it's hard. It's hard to play other American teams, and sometimes it's easier to root against other countries. And then when you have to play, other national team teammates, it's never easy, but usually makes for some pretty good volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just the way that you talk about all the stops on the tour, it sounds like you're really still enjoying what's got to be a grueling travel schedule at certain points. What's your favorite part of the Beach Pro Tour?
I have a lot of different parts that I love. I mean, it's really cool to be able to travel and go experience different parts of the world and see and eat different things and meet different people. And so I think that is really fun for me, but it's really also very fun to see how much people love volleyball all over the world. Like, we play in Switzerland and the stadium is packed. We play in Brazil and there's lines out off the sand for people waiting to get into the stands. And, like, it's just really cool to see how far the sport reaches and how many people like to watch it, and really fun to be able to compete against the same people, different people, and just in different parts of the world. It's like, it's just really cool. It's never something that I thought I would necessarily be able to say that I do. And so, it makes the 20 hours of travel worth it.
You mentioned Switzerland. I mean, everybody talks about Stade. I'm assuming that's the one you're referencing.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that your favorite stop? It just
Yeah.
looks like it's so cool, and everybody's like, that's the one to go to.
Yeah, and before I ever went, I was kind of like, it's not going to live up to the hype. Everyone talks about it. It can't be that good. And then I got there and I get it. And I was like, this is the coolest place ever. It feels like you're in on a movie set, and it's just, the fans there are incredible. I think this last summer was the 25th year that they've been hosting that event, and they host it the same weekend every year. So people come from all over the world to watch it and go and experience Stade. So yeah, hands down favorite event, I think.
It's so much travel. You mentioned like the 20 hours at some point. What do you do to keep the travel fun? I mean, do you make some time to go explore a little bit? Do you have this one thing that you do every time that you go travel? Maybe loading up any specific show that you save for your next travel? Tell me about it.
I think, it's, I'm weird. On planes, I don't do much. I kind of just like sit there, try to sleep, watch other people's TV screens. I'm not a big movie girl, so I don't watch a ton of movies, but Meg, I know she is good about downloading shows and watching stuff. But when we travel, I think we, depending on how much time we have, always try to see something or do something. Last year when we were in Rio, we got to go see Christ the Redeemer, see the statue, which was awesome. We're going to Cape Town in a couple weeks, and we're really excited about that. It's just like going to Cape Town and coming back, so we're going to try and either get there a day early or stay a day later and do some exploring, just to make the trip worth it. Because I feel like sometimes, I mean, obviously we want to do well and play well and win matches, but then if we're going to fly all the way to South Africa, we kind of want to see what it's about. So yeah, we're excited. I think the travel itself, we keep interesting. I mean, there's not much you can do, when you're just sitting on a plane forever. But once we get to the places, we try to like explore a little bit and see what's around.
Especially not much to do if you're not watching any movies or anything.
I know, it's so weird. People are always like, what do you do on the plane for that long? And I was like, I don't do anything. Like, I'll read a book sometimes.
There we go.
And like, yeah, but not a lot of movies. That just is a good way to pass the time, and I just don't do it.
So if I'm going to talk to someone about movies, I got to ask Meg about like what she watches and everything.
She watches some good ones, and she'll give me the download like when we get off the plane. And I'm like, man, that sounds like a really good movie or a really good show. I should watch it. And then I never do.
I had this experience the other day where, one of those things where you do the icebreaker challenge things, and everybody is like, oh, what's your one fun fact? And mine is always that every movie that I see, I rate on IMDb.
Oh.
So I'll have to ask her like what her favorite things are.
What is your favorite movie? Can I ask you that?
My favorite movie, I think, and this always gets a lot of flack, is Avengers Endgame. I
Really?
just love
Okay.
that it's like 10 years of build-up,
Yeah.
and then it was like, as a Marvel fan, as a nerd, I was like, this has to deliver. It has to be good. So it was like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Not that, more than your average movie, I feel like, and for me, it delivered. So
Okay.
but people are always like, oh, you're not a real cinema fan or whatever.
No,
So.
people are entitled to have their own favorite movie.
Right, yeah, exactly. I've been to the nice cinemas, like the Tarantino one in LA and everything. So I feel like I've got a background there.
Yeah.
But see, you'll run laps around me with the books because I need to do more reading. But
Yeah, you can read more and I'll watch more movies.
there we go. We'll switch. I mean, honestly, and too, like we were talking before we started, I don't know how you guys do it with the jet lag and all of that stuff after travel. I mean, it took me a week to get back after Thailand. I was so jet lagged, so I don't know how you guys do it. But I mean, and we'll talk about it in a little bit later here. But now being this week, you get to kind of chill at home before this Newport Beach Elite 16. We're gonna get to that absolutely. But today, I want to go back to the Beach Pro Tour. We touched on it just a little bit, but to expand on that, your favorite competition or win, anything on that level to this point in your career on the Beach Pro Tour, what would it be?
The first one that comes to mind for me is when Meg and I made the final when we were playing in Stade. So we had lost it was the first year we were playing together last year, and we lost in back-to-back qualifiers, didn't make it into the tournament. And so then going into Stade, like our main goal was basically, we got to qualify. So we qualified in pouring rain, it was cold, and then proceeded to lose the next two games in pool. So it was that was back when it was full pool play, only 16 teams, and we got kind of smoked in the two. We lost Kristen and Taryn, and we lost to Tina and Anastasia from Latvia, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I was like, oh man, I'm happy we qualified, but no way we're breaking pool. We had one game left in pool. Somehow won that game by enough points that we barely broke pool, and then we were kind of just like, we're playing with house money. Like, let's see what happens. And we won our round of 12 game against Duda and Anna Patricia. This was pre-Olympics, but had never beaten them together as a pair before. And then we were like, now we're really playing with house money. Let's see what happens. And again, in the pouring rain, we won the quarterfinal. And so it was just like a very surreal experience to then the next day go and win the semifinal. Was just not anything. I wasn't even expecting to play on Sunday, let alone expecting to play in the final. And Meg played so well, and it was just so fun. And it's one of the moments that I will never forget, because we're playing like that stadium. The atmosphere there is just unmatched, and they love volleyball. The crowd was so into it, and it was a really exciting game. I think we won in 3 sets by 2 points. Like, we barely won, and I'll never forget, Meg scored the last point, like dug a ball, transitioned it, and then we both were just on the ground. And so that was just a very, very cool experience, because I think I had played in medal matches before, but it had never felt like that. Like, it was true team effort. First time we were doing it together, and it was so fun.
Embracing the underdog mentality, I think, has got to be so neat to do, especially when, I mean, at that point, like you said, it wasn't official, but you're playing against Olympic pairs.
Yeah.
And to do that is awesome. I mean, is that a tough mentality to shift in and sort of recreate for other tournaments?
Yeah, I think it's hard, and it's been cool having April working with us now, because she offers some really, really cool insights in like to mindset stuff. And obviously she's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And so being able to listen to her, and one of the things that she was talking to us before we went to Brazil was kind of like, you should be mentally exhausted by the end of a tournament, because you should be giving it everything you have and totally engaged and on the court and in practices and what you're eating and what you're drinking and the film you're watching. And so I think embracing like the underdog mentality, and that like we're going all in, and we're just going to have to do this over and over and over again, and we want to do it over and over again, is I think a pretty cool mindset to have. And it's hard, but hard is good. And so yeah, it's been really cool.
I mean, just the amount that goes into everything, I continue to be just so impressed by. It's so much more than what you see on that, match day or for the final medal match. It's amazing. But before we even get to that point, we have to always go back to the roots, the core. And we got to learn more about you as a player, for those who might not know too much about Terese. But we have to start with something that I found on several of your bios, which I didn't even remember, but that you are a natural lefty, but you play righty. What is that? What is that like?
I blame my mom. Okay. I have a twin sister, and my mom had read in a book somewhere that twins are supposed to be, one's supposed to be left-handed and one's supposed to be right-handed. And a lot of twins that you meet, like, that's true. For us, I think Marin, my twin sister, was very clearly right-handed, and I didn't show a strong preference. And so they were like, you're left-handed. And I was like, okay. My handwriting is so bad. Terrible. Yeah, I had to go to like a handwriting help school or something. But yeah, so I do all the very fine motor skills, like handwriting, eating, brushing my teeth, that sort of thing with my left hand. But all sports, I will play with my right hand. Wow. Yeah.
So do you think you saw your sister and you were like, all right, I'm going to be different?
Maybe. I don't know, because my uncle was left-handed when he wrote, but right-handed and everything else. So like, there's a couple people out there I think who are like it, but I think I probably could have been right-handed, but I was forced into being left-handed.
I was just with you with the, I don't know if you remember, like the special workbooks that had the little dotted line in the middle, and you had to hit all of that for your lowercase and uppercase. I did the same thing.
I was not good at it.
My handwriting's also pretty terrible, so I'll join you there too. I did read once that it was a sign of high IQ, which is what I tell myself.
I'll tell that's great.
There we go.
Perfect.
But so you mentioned too your twin sister. What is life like as a twin? What was it like growing up? Were you guys very close to start with? Okay.
Yeah, super close. We shared a room. We did everything together. I think honestly until I started playing volleyball. So she doesn't play volleyball. So I think a lot of people in California don't realize that I have a twin, because she doesn't live in California and doesn't play volleyball, and most people just know me as a volleyball player. So but we're extremely close. We talk every day, if not multiple times a day. We don't look anything alike. She's a little shorter than me, and she has blonde curly hair, but yeah, she's like my best friend. So I feel it was awesome. I love having a twin and being able to, go somewhere and do something and have a built-in best friend always. So yeah, it's fun. And our fun fact as a team for me and Meg is that Meg has a twin brother. So we both have twins.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Was it a bunk bed situation when you were growing up?
No, we just had both twin beds, but we'd talk to each other. Hey, are you awake? Do you want to talk? What are you doing? And yeah, it was fun.
Any fun activities that you did growing up, even if she wasn't into sports? You guys play?
I mean, she was into sports. Like we played soccer together. We played basketball together. Once we got into high school, I started playing volleyball, and she started sailing, which was really cool. But yeah, we just did everything together, and so whatever it was, you can imagine both of us would be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then does she, when you talk to her every day, does she still follow your career and ask you about your matches and everything?
Yeah, she's the best. I think she watches all of them, and yeah, we talk a lot about volleyball, but a lot about other things too. And I think we have kind of gone on different life paths, if you will. And then she's married and she's got a dog and all that stuff. And a job. I don't feel like I really have a job, but it's cool to be able to see her growing as a person and in her own family. And yeah, it's fun.
I feel like this is a really tough question to ask, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you had to just kind of pick out any fun childhood memory to share with us, maybe involving you and Marion, could you think of one just off the top of your head of kind of that really symbolizes you two growing up together?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. We were in high school together. We were in a lot of same classes, and we had this funny dynamic in some of our classes where the teachers would ask questions and I'd whisper the answers in her ear, and then she'd raise her hand and then actually answer the question, or reverse. But she was a lot more outgoing than me in high school and middle school and everything. And so I looked up to her a lot and kind of was like, you do it, you talk to the people, and I'll just be here. And so yeah, I think our teachers were always like, you guys, we can't let you sit next to each other in class because you're going to talk to each other. You need to learn to be apart. We had one teacher who was like, you're not going to go to college together, so you need to learn to be apart. And she sat us on opposite sides of the classroom. But then we did go to college together for a year. So we were like,
proved them wrong.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny that you said you weren't very outgoing back then, because I feel like you're a very outgoing person now. Is that something that just kind of changed later on?
Yes, I've been trying to grow and put myself out there more. And yeah, I think honestly, having to move away from Marin was really hard, and I was like, I have to make friends. How do I do that? And so, yeah, I've had to learn to, talk to people, and I love talking to people and be more outgoing. But she's the best. So
we're gonna stick with just where you grew up, because I mean, that's where, a little bit of our paths intersect. Yeah. It's very near where I went to college, but Pittsford, New York, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is it near St. John Fisher and Nazareth?
Yeah.
There we go,
really close to Naz.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I remember covering some of those games, just crazy, about an hour and 30 away from Ithaca, maybe a little closer to hour 10, hour 20, depending on which highways you take. But what was life like growing up in upstate New York, and just that whole kind of experience in your upbringing over there? Yeah,
I loved it. It was a cool place to grow up. Very different than Southern California. We had true 4 seasons. Summers were awesome. Winters, you had to wake up early, turn your car on, scrape all the snow off. So that was definitely an experience. But yeah, I mean, my family's awesome and very close. We have a younger sister too. And so the 3 of us were all very close. And it was just cool to grow up there. And I feel like it's just very different than Southern California, not in a good way or a bad way, just different. And yeah, cool. Played a lot of indoor volleyball. Didn't play a ton of beach volleyball because it was cold most of the time. But yeah, we were talking about it earlier. The fall is my favorite season, and so I miss it most, I think, at this time of year.
Especially in upstate New York, I don't think there's anything like it. I mean, can you help sort of verbalize what is so good about kind of just fall up there? I mean, to me, I think the leaves turn the best colors. I think the hiking over there is amazing. I mean, it's a little bit, I think it's more south or north. My directions are horrible, but I remember going to Watkins Glen around the fall. Amazing. I just think, even growing up in the New England area, I think the upstate New York is a little bit better.
There's so much space, and the trees are you cannot recreate the colors that the leaves turn, and the air is just crisp enough but not cold yet, and still sunny, and it's just, I don't know, drinking apple cider, go apple picking, carving pumpkins. It's just it's very cool.
How often do you go back?
I It depends on the volleyball schedule. I try to get back. I was there in July, which was nice. My mom turned 60, so we had a good birthday party for her. I usually go back for a week or two around Christmas. The fall has been kind of tough because we're traveling and playing a lot right now, so I don't think I'll make it back for this season, but I definitely try to get back as much as I can.
When you have a break in the schedule, which is like what, a month at most, where do you end up kind of spending your time? Are you more SoCal based, or do you kind of head back to the East Coast for that?
I think like the biggest break we have is usually in December, and so I probably go home halfway through December, and then I'll spend 2.5 weeks at home, and it's nice to be able to spend the holidays with my family and catch up with my parents and see some friends from home. So like Southern California is definitely home base and where I spend most of my time, but it's always nice to be able to spend the holidays at home.
Can you share a couple words on just the volleyball scene in upstate New York? You said indoor, a little bit of beach when possible, which I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
What is the volleyball kind of, culture over there, and how were you introduced to that? How did that become part of your life?
I think it's better than people would expect. It's pretty, like we've had some pretty high level indoor and beach players, honestly, now come out of like the Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse area. And so it's very cool to see how it's growing. I had some cousins who played, and then we played in gym class. We played volleyball, and my gym teacher was kind of like, "You're pretty good at this. Like, you could be good at this if you want to play." And I don't know. I don't know what made me decide to do it, because I liked playing soccer. Had always played soccer. Had always played basketball. But once I started playing volleyball, I was kind of like, this is really fun. I love this. And then my high school coach was great, and he encouraged us to play beach in the summer. And so we would play on Lake Ontario. There's beach up there, and we'd play doubles on the weekends just for fun, because it was getting more touches in, and like it doesn't hurt your indoor game. And especially, it was maybe not quite as competitive as a CBBA back when I was younger. I think it's gotten better now, but yeah, so it was like just for fun, purely for fun. Loved it, enjoyed it, and then just kind of never looked back once I started playing.
And so was it high school only for you, or were there club experiences involved? And when did that become part of it?
Yeah, so I started playing like on the modified middle school team in 8th grade, and then started playing for the high school team once I was a freshman. And then my freshman year, I also started playing club. And so there's a couple clubs up there, and we were good, but never actually made like a junior nationals or whatever those like big tournaments at the end of the summer are. So, but I enjoyed it, because I was like, once I started playing, couldn't get enough of playing volleyball. And so the high school season was in the fall, and then the club season would start in the winter and run through the end of the year, like into the spring. Yeah, so I was playing a ton.
Any favorite memories from your club days? Maybe not, like you're saying, maybe not the biggest wins or anything, but any just favorite memories of being part of that culture?
The people that I played with are still some of my really good friends, which was really fun. It feels like a really long time ago that I played club, but I feel like we played most weekends, and we played all over the Northeast and Pennsylvania and Maryland and in New York and like Washington, D.C. And so we were playing all over the place, and it was just, I feel like that was the beginning of me getting to travel and play volleyball, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely. So then from there to Georgetown, I believe, was your first stop. What was the intro to college like, playing for Georgetown? Walk me through what you were kind of experiencing at that point.
I was super excited, got recruited to play at Georgetown. It's an awesome school. Marin, my twin sister, also went there, so we did go to college for a year together, which was a bonus. We were in the Big East at the time. I can't remember how many teams exactly were in there, but it was definitely different than I was expecting, I think. But it was a lot of fun. Like, I'd wake up every morning, go to practice, lift, and then our like time block was, I think, from 7 to 11 in the morning, and then I'd go to class for the rest of the day. And so it was cool to be able to kind of separate the two. We unfortunately did not win a ton of matches that year, and so a season, I think, was a grind for me, and it was like we were traveling every single weekend and just not winning a ton, which was hard. But I did like my team, and it was a good introduction into college volleyball.
And so from Georgetown to USC, but then also going to beach, like what prompted the shift to beach? What prompted the shift to USC? And just, the whole experience, obviously, from going over to Southern California and being there.
Yeah, that it's kind of a crazy story. I decided that I was going to transfer after the first semester at Georgetown, and was looking at some other indoor schools, but was feeling pretty burnt out of the indoor scene. Had always liked beach volleyball, and beach volleyball was such a new sport at that time. I don't even think it was officially an NCAA sport when I started college, and so when I was originally getting recruited, I had liked it, and I was like, how cool, they're adding this as a sport. And my parents were so supportive in that they were kind of like, you're going to go to Georgetown and not play beach, but we can help find ways to support you if you do want to play beach or like get practice at it somehow. And so actually over the winter break of my freshman year, I went to like a USA camp in Florida, and Anna Collier, who was the head coach at SC at the time, was running that camp. And it was really small. There were maybe 8 of us there. I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely none. But she's a great coach. And afterwards, I was kind of just thanking her for the opportunity and everything that I learned. And she was like, if you ever want to do a 5th year, let me know. And so that stuck with me. And when I was looking at other schools to transfer to, I was like, maybe I just give her a call and see if she thinks I'd be good enough to play beach volleyball at all in college anywhere. Didn't think I would have an opportunity at SC, but I called her, and since she was literally the only beach coach who had ever seen me play, and so I reached out to a couple other schools, but they were like, send film, had no film. So my conversation with her kind of turned into like could I walk onto the team at SC? What do you think? And she was awesome. She took a huge chance on me, but was like, yeah, you can walk onto the team. We treat our walk-ons the same as we treat our scholarship players. Like, you're going to learn a lot. We have a great program. And so that was the most enticing offer for me at the time. I was like looking at some other schools to play indoor, and just like in the winter and the cold, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so again, my parents, incredibly supportive, and they were very much like, if this is what you want to do, we'll help you do it. And so I decided, which at the time seemed like I had never made like big leaps in decisions like that before. And so to leave the East Coast and to leave Georgetown with Marin and just move to Southern California where I didn't know anyone was a big deal. But I did it, and I'm so happy that I did.
Did you go back and forth a lot with that decision? And what was ultimately kind of the moment, do you remember it, where you were like, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think I came out here, my dad had to like come out here for work or something, and I came with him, and we just kind of watched the SC was playing, and then we went to Manhattan Pier, and I was like, this is so cool. And from that moment, I think I was like, I want to do this, and just didn't even think about why or how it was going to be hard. I was just like, I think I want to do this. And so yeah, my parents were like, if this is what you want to do, we'll help you do it. So it was great.
I think Manhattan Pier could sell anybody.
Yeah,
honestly.
and the sunset, and it was winter, but it was beautiful and sunny, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So
I definitely want to get your opinion on something that you talked about a little bit while talking about that story. Is there's a lot more structure now, it feels like, in the beach scene in college than maybe when you were there. What have you made of just that kind of growth? And you're playing obviously now against a lot of former NCAA players. There's a big NCAA, I won't call it a pipeline, but definitely a growth from those athletes transitioning into a pro career afterwards. What do you make of that whole kind of movement there to kind of really make that more of an NCAA thing?
Like, it's amazing. And the support that beach volleyball has had, and the fact that there were, 10 schools that had it 10 years ago, and now I don't even know how many there are. I think there's over 100, maybe more. And it's just really cool to see. And I think you can tell with the strength of USA Volleyball, and that like all the girls who are playing now played in college. And it's just really cool to see. And I feel very lucky that I got to be part of it from the very beginning. And yeah, I think it's incredible, the growth of the sport. People love beach volleyball. And so the opportunities for people to play, I think when I started in college, it was mostly Southern California teams, but now like TCU just won a national championship, and they're in Texas, not necessarily based on an actual beach. And so it's just very cool to see the opportunity growing. You don't have to grow up in Southern California. You don't have to grow up in Florida to play beach volleyball. And I think that's awesome.
And you mentioned the chance that your coach took on you. Well, I'd say it's paid off for multiple reasons, but it paid off in the kind of immediate aftermath with being a 2-time national champion. I believe also with Nicolette Martin getting the final win to seal that national championship. What was that? What was that like?
So cool. I can't even describe it. I mean, I feel like we had the dream team that year. I mean, Sarah and Kelly were still playing, and Nicolette, I was playing with Nicolette. Sophie Bukvek, who plays for Canada, was playing, and we just had such a fun group of people who were so competitive and all bought in on like we were going to win a national championship that year. And the fact that it was such a close game and then came down to our court is something that I'll never forget. And there's no one that I would rather have been playing with than Nicolette in that moment. And she was just a fierce competitor in the best way and carried us to that win. And so it was just so cool to be able to do that for me and her, but then on a greater scale to be able to do it for our whole team and for USC.
Definitely. So from the pinnacle of the college game to then becoming a pro, when was the first moment where you realized, oh, I can do this professionally?
I think it took me a while, probably. I think I played in my first AVP qualifier the summer after my first year at SC, and we lost in the game to get in. And then I was like, that was really fun. I want to see if I can do that. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try really hard. So I was playing CBVAs all summer, and then it wasn't, I think, until a year or two later that I actually qualified for the first AVP main draw. And at that point, I didn't really even know how things worked, but I was like, this is fun. This is so fun. We get to play a sport that we love. And then I was playing with Irene Pollock, and she is the one who introduced me to like how it all worked internationally and helped me get into, using USA facilities and all that stuff. And so once I started playing with her and realized kind of how the international tour works, I was like, I'm all in on that. This Olympics have become the goal. Don't know. At the time, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is an achievable goal, but this is the goal. So it's been really fun, and I think how cool is it? You get to represent your country, play against the best athletes from other countries, and travel around the world. So, yeah, it's really fun.
It's a pretty good pitch right there, honestly, for anybody, anybody listening. But two-part question for you. What advice would you give to athletes trying to navigate their college experience? Obviously, you have more experience in that than most people, maybe with it being a little bit of a rougher start, but then trying to figuring things out. And then also aspiring athletes to be professionals. What would your advice be to those athletes?
I think trying to navigate the college scene, lean into using the resources. Like playing beach volleyball in college is so cool. And people told me this when I was in college and I didn't fully understand it, but it's because you have a whole team around you. And it's not just you and a partner, but there's 15 girls on a team and everyone is trying to achieve the same goal and the resources you have available. And so there are definitely days when it feels really hard, but being able to, lean into the support of the other people are going through it with you is something that I feel like always makes it better. As for being a professional athlete, I think you just have to know why you're doing it. I think there are definitely days. Beach volleyball is different than playing in the WNBA or playing in the NFL. Like those are all team sports and they kind of set your schedules for you and tell you what to do. But when you're playing beach volleyball, it's all player driven and player motivated. And so if I decide that I don't want to practice tomorrow, I don't have to practice tomorrow. But if I decide that I want to practice every single day this week, we'll practice every single day this week. And so I think it's really important to know why you are chasing this dream or what you're doing, because that is what will fuel you on the days where you don't feel like practicing and the days that you're like, this is really hard. I don't want to sit on a plane for 20 hours. I don't want to have to miss my sister's engagement. I don't want to have to, sacrifice all these things. But if you have a good understanding for why you're doing it, I have found that has really helped me and kept me going when things are hard and kept me motivated. And I think you just have to find ways to be able to keep motivating yourself.
I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've heard in a long time, and I think it applies to so much even outside of volleyball as well. What do you do in the moments when maybe it's tougher to remember that why? I'm assuming that, like everybody, you probably have some bad days sometimes where it's got to be tough to get back to it, but how do you do that?
I think I wrote it down a really long time ago, like the couple different reasons why I do this. And so sometimes I'll go back and look at it or reread it, talking to the people who are in my circle and closest to me, and they are always incredibly supportive and can help remind me this is just a bad day, doesn't mean you have to quit, but if you do want to quit, it's not a big deal. So I think having people who support me and know me and love me and being able to turn to them and ask for help is also really, really helpful.
It's amazing. So good. If I can transition to the next thing I want to ask you about, is partnerships. And you with Meg right now, you're one of the best teams that we've got here at USA Volleyball, and it's been so great to watch you guys, as you said, partnering. Was it a little over a year ago now?
Officially 2 years.
Officially
at this
2 years
point.
ago.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't even.
No, I know.
Time is
Yeah.
always so tough. Which has been a while, and you guys you've seen the growth from when you guys first started, maybe with Scott, I think it was, and then all the way till now. Let's start first with, what is it about Meg's game that you love, that is so good about her, that compliments you? We'll start there.
I have so many things I could say.
Go say them all, please.
She's absolutely the best partner that I have ever played with. She works, like, this goes without, like, if you know Meg, you know how hard she works. And she's doing the extra reps in the gym, getting the extra reps on the sand. There's never a day that she shows up to practice and is in a bad mood. Like, her attitude is so good, and she works so hard that it motivates me to work harder. And I'm like, I want to be better for her. But I think more than that is she's just an incredible teammate. Like, she is so positive and so supportive, and I feel so safe playing with her, and that there's never a moment where I'm like, oh, I made a mistake, she's going to be upset. Like, she's just incredibly positive, so team oriented, and also she's just an incredible athlete. Like, if you watch her play, she does some things on the court, and just my jaw's on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, like, do it again. Like, that was so cool. And I just feel so lucky to be able to share the court with her and share those moments with her, because she is hands down the best person I've ever played with.
How did your partnership first start? Were you aware of her at SC? Was there crossover there?
There was no crossover. So she's younger than me. So I finished in 2019, and she started in 2020, in the fall of 2020. So like a year later. But I knew who she was. Everyone knew who she was. She was the top recruit coming out of high school and already playing in AVPs. And then she was playing with Emily Stockman, and I was playing with Sarah Sponsel, and we both had Scott Davenport was coaching us. And so we would practice together, travel together sometimes, so we all knew each other. And yeah, when it came time, she also was a left side blocker, which I'm a left side blocker. And I was like, that's all I can do. Can't do anything else. And within a month, transitioned into being a right side defender, which is so hard to do. Never once did she complain about it. And she just like picked it up like that so quick. And so I think that's really cool as well.
Just because I want to get into the nitty-gritty X's and O's, when you say she does things that makes your jaw drop, I mean, we've all seen it, but just because I want to ask, can you describe what some of those things are? Like, maybe, is it because her first step read is so good? Is it because of her passing? Like, what is it specifically?
Her passing is amazing, which, fun fact about her, when she was playing indoor growing up, she started as libero. So I feel like she's gotten a ton. She's probably 6 feet tall. She's really tall, and people wouldn't look at her and think that she's libero, but her ball control is incredible. But she's so explosive. I feel like she makes my job as a transition setter so easy. When she gets a dig, all I have to do is put apex on the ball, and she'll explosively get her feet there and score on it. So anytime she gets a dig, she's pretty much converting on it. And that is really, really, really hard to do. And so it makes my job as her partner really freeing and really easy. But I will say one other thing she's really good at that everyone needs to look out for is her jump setting. Because she will fully face the net and then can just like draw her arm back and side set it to me, which is like, the Swedish kids can do that, but not a lot of girls can do that. And so it's really impressive. Everyone should watch her do it and then clap for her, because it's a really hard skill and she's really, really good at it. Yeah.
I'm just going to take a pause to make sure that the cameras are still rolling, because I heard a sound. That's recording, and that's recording. Fantastic. Because that was so good that we need that to be on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I want to ask about your partnership is, where have you seen you two progress as partners? From my outside perspective, it seemed like last year, maybe honestly now that my time is completely warped to it, might have been 2 years ago now, but you really seemed like you started to hit your stride with a lot of really good finishes, touching the podium a little bit, or even obviously medaling, and then just have taken off since then. When did you kind of start really feeling like you guys were clicking in a good rhythm?
I think probably last year. We started playing together in the fall of 2023, and so we only played 2 or 3 events that year, and then Meg still had a whole semester of school left. So in 2024, from January to May, we weren't training together a ton and couldn't compete in events because she was in her season at SC. So your timeline is not that warped. Like officially, we've kind of been playing together for 2 years, but there was a large gap of time where she was still finishing school at SC. But I feel like in like May, June, July, we were kind of figuring out, that's when we really started training together full time of last year, trying to figure out like who our team was and what our stride was. And then we went on a pretty good, what felt like a pretty good run of international tournaments from like in the fall. And I feel like that was when we had the first taste of like, we could do some really cool stuff together and we could be a top team in the United States, maybe a top team in the world. But I feel like now is when we're really starting to, like that was like a small taste of it. And now it really feels as if we're doing it. And so it's been really cool. Obviously there's ups and downs all the time in sports. And I feel like last fall, we got a couple silver medals. I felt like we were like, okay, so we can do this, but it's starting to be now that it feels like, okay, we can do this consistently and we can continue to get better. And I think the more time we play together, the stronger we become as a team. And so hopefully the best is yet to come. We're still waiting to win a tournament, get a gold medal, but it's been really cool and really fun, and I'm excited with our progress.
We have firmly established that Megan Kraft is awesome. Check.
Yes.
We have firmly established that you two as a pair are awesome. I want to refocus on you. What have you learned about yourself through your past partners? Obviously, also thinking about, you mentioned playing with Sarah Sponsel, an Olympian. What did you learn from that experience? And how has your game specifically progressed to where you are now?
I think it's taken a long time to get to where I am now, and I think there's a lot of things that go into it besides just the showing up at practice or going to the weight room. Like I've felt like I have progressed the most when I've been focusing on the mental side of things too, and that has been a huge area for growth for me. And partner dynamics are always interesting, and I think it's hard to bounce from partner to partner to partner all the time, and that's why I feel like my game has grown the most within the last 2 years playing with Meg, because we've had a consistent partnership. And I know we've already established how awesome she is, but I can't say it enough, is like she is allowing that room for growth both as an individual and as a team for us together. And so yeah, I think I have learned a lot about myself and like what I like and what I don't like playing with different partners. But now that I'm playing with Meg, it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, this is it. This is my soulmate beach volleyball partner. I don't want to play with anyone else. And so that for me is, I think, allowed me to grow even more than I could have ever imagined.
It feels like that's so rare in the beach game, where everybody's kind of shifting around partners or maybe sometimes looking at another partner while they're already pre-established with someone else. So it's so cool to hear you talk about that and the relationship that you have with her that way. What were some of the things, or what have been some of the things that you've learned from being part of Scott Davenport's group? And I'm going to make that a two-part question, because what you said about learning things with April now is so great as well. Just a few words on the coaching that you've gotten here at USAV.
Yeah, Scott was awesome. He was actually coaching us when I was playing with Sarah, and that was before he took the USA job. And so I started working with him pretty much right out of college and feel like I learned a lot, which was awesome, and like needed that support as I was starting the professional journey. And then I think he's more working with like the developmental group now. And so Mike Playchuk is our coach, and he is incredible. And like, if Meg's the perfect partner for me, Mike is the perfect coach for us as a pair and for me as an individual. And we've been working with him since 2023. So we worked with him all of 2023 and since 2024. I'm getting all my years mixed up.
It's not just me.
Yeah, no, it all blurs together. Last year, we're in 2025 now. But he has helped us so much, and I have learned so much from him. And he is such a cool coach, because he, as a coach, wants to keep learning and growing and getting better, and that makes us better as players. And so we have full faith and full trust in him to like steer the ship and get us where we want to go. And practice is so fun. It just never gets old, and he does a really good job of helping us find the balance of like, this should be fun. We play this game because we enjoy it, and also like, let's really focus in and like improve these certain areas and get to where we want to be. And so it's really, really awesome to feel like we have a good cohesive team and we all are similar personalities, share the same goal. I can't say enough about him either. Like I feel very, very lucky to be surrounded by the team that I'm surrounded by.
A personal curiosity question is it difficult to design a training plan that mimics things that you'll need in a match setting? Is it sometimes difficult to bridge that gap between, okay, this is practice and I'm not as into this as I would be in all of the ways I'm feeling during a match, and how do you overcome that?
I think it is difficult sometimes on the days where you're tired or like you've practiced for 5 days in a row and you really want to make sure that you're giving it your all. But Mike's really good at finding that balance and keeping us motivated. And I think like both Meg and I are pretty self-motivated in general and want to get better. And we practice for 2 hours a day. And so if we can go all in for those 2 hours, then the rest of the day we can do whatever we want. And so I think it's like having that mindset makes it a little easier to be like, the practices are what's important. And then when we're playing in games, we can just play free. So like we have to get the work done now in practice so that we can execute it in a game. And yeah, it's cool too, because Mike's in our box now on the FIVB, they're allowing coaches in the boxes. And so he, I feel like, can see even more how we operate in a match than he used to and can take what he's learning from helping us in the match and implement that in practices too.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I forgot about the change in the rules that allows them to be there. That's got to be a pretty big shift too.
Yeah.
Not a yeller, Mike?
No, not a yeller. There's definitely times where he's the best because he cares equally as much as we care. And so there's times when we, make stupid decisions on the court or whatever, and we can just see him out at the corner of our eye being like, no, but he is incredibly positive, not a yeller. I think because we've been working with him for as long as we have, he really knows the right ways to coach us and how to talk to us. And for that, we're really grateful. And so I think a big part of why we had success the last couple of weeks is because he was there with us in the box and calling timeouts and saying the right things and helping us when we're not feeling our best or not feeling like we're playing as well as we should be. And he's really good at, saying the right things and getting us back on track.
How important is downtime during your practice schedules when you don't have a tournament to go to right away, when you have a little bit of time to take some downtime? Where do you build that in? How important is that to you? We
are learning how important it is now. We're talking like with the USA staff, and we've been talking a lot about, building things up, ramping up, tapering off before tournaments. And so that's something new for me personally, because I feel like I was always like, okay, we're just going to go. But that is not how you will play your best. So learning about it, it's always nice to, be gone for 2 weeks, come back, have a day or two off to kind of like get back to life things. So yeah, we're learning and finding the right balance of what works for us and when we should be taking days off, when we should be practicing at 100%, and kind of figuring out what that balance is so that we'll play best in tournaments.
What do you do during a day off? We've established it's not watching movies.
Yeah, not watching movies. I like to hang out with my friends. I have not a ton of friends, but a couple of really close friends who I like to spend time with. I love dessert. I have the worst sweet tooth ever, so I like to, make a pie or make cookies or do something like that.
I'm glad you got to this because in multiple bios,
I know,
you
I
have
don't know why
competitive baker.
Which is not competitive. I don't know where that part came from, but I do enjoy to make things. I think it's fun. It's like a science, and then I can give them to someone. So
you said pie. Is that your favorite thing to make? We're in fall now.
Yes.
There's a lot of great options.
Yes, a lot of great options for pie. Cookies are easy and fun. I think around Christmas last year I was getting into making cupcakes, but with fun decorations, like little chocolate Christmas trees and stuff on top. So we'll see what we make this year. I don't know.
Terese, cookies are not easy. I have just gotten into, I had a really weird kind of baking kick probably in the last month where I just had so much of this stuff from the last time my parents visited. I was like, all right, I got to start making some things.
What did you try and make?
Okay, so I did, and I'll show you after this. Maybe I'll throw in a picture and we'll see.
Yes,
so the first thing I tried to do was, I had so much oatmeal. So I was like, okay, oatmeal raisin, but I wanted to switch it up, kind of start fall early. We were still like mid-September. So I did pumpkin spice oatmeal raisin cookies.
That sounds amazing.
First time, they came out just super flat. It was almost like half a brownie. Kind of needed to up the pumpkin spice a little bit.
Good though.
We're all right. Yeah. Second time, up the raisins, up the pumpkin spice, much better product.
Okay.
But then I got cocky and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try chocolate chip cookies.
Yep. I'm sure they were fine. I mean, that's the thing about baking is like sugar, butter, chocolate can't taste bad.
It can't taste bad. It can certainly look bad.
It doesn't matter how it looks.
Or not get baked properly. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes in the middle, look, we don't need to get into how I'm a bad baker.
I do want to, you're going to have to bring the cookies in sometime.
I will. I should.
That sounds really good.
I definitely will. My guinea pig was my office coworker in Anaheim, so once I kind of refine them,
Yeah.
we'll bring them into
Please
here.
bring them in, yeah.
That is the other thing that's so great about working in this office. There are always amazing snacks and treats on the in the kitchen table. More on the baking. What is your, you go back home for Christmas. I'm already skipping ahead of the fall, which
Yeah.
I hate to do, but you're going to go back home for the holidays. I'm assuming you're going to bake something.
Yes.
What are you baking?
My mom makes chocolate cheesecake every Christmas Eve.
So
Really good. We also last year did attempt to make our own gingerbread houses, like actually make the gingerbread, cut it into the proper squares. And she wanted to do a gingerbread house competition between me and my sisters. It did not go as well as we would have liked, but that's always fun. I mean, we always make Christmas cookies, classic, decorate them, like shape cookies and stuff. So yeah, it's just fun to be able to do that. I think that's why I like it so much, is because we always did it growing up together, me and my mom, or me and my sisters, and me and my grandma. And so I think that is in part why I like it. And yeah, maybe we'll have to make something new this year.
That could be fun.
Look up a recipe.
Marin gets into it as well?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Marin is a very good cook. Like, she is really good at making dinner, and then I can make dessert.
That's fantastic. So do you judge any other desserts that you go to when you go out to like a restaurant or anything?
No.
It's like, I can do that one
They're
better.
all delicious. I am not picky. I think it all tastes good.
That's so great. So that's awesome that you'll be able to do that when you have a little bit of downtime. Just one more question on the partnership dynamics. I forgot to ask you, what goes into, and this is more of an advice question for younger athletes, what goes into picking the right partner, knowing that you're with the right partner, and that entire process? And I would like to shape that into your advice for a younger athlete doing that.
I think knowing yourself is important, and knowing what values are important to you. Some people play well with a partner where it's strictly a business relationship, where they play volleyball together and then that's it. I know that relationships are really important to me, and so when I was looking for a volleyball partner, like someone that I got along with both on and off the court was important, because we traveled together, spent a lot of time together, share hotel rooms together. So that was, I think Meg and I are similar in a lot of ways, and so that was helpful. But I think just knowing yourself and what values are important to you. If you want someone who's gonna be super positive and encouraging, or someone who's going to bring a ton of energy and a lot of fire, or someone who's just super steady. Like, the people are so different on the court, and knowing what you vibe with best, I think, is important into looking at feeling out other partners to play with.
I've heard stories about some people will almost go on like dates with their partners to try and figure out, okay, is this going to be the right person with matching the vibe, like you kind of talked about? Is there a fail-safe strategy of like, this is the kind of date we do, like a board game or an escape room, where you're like, okay, if they can stay cool under pressure, then maybe that's it?
I don't know. I think the only way you can really tell is by playing a match with them. And because practice is different, off the court is different, but when you get on the court and you're actually competing and you have to win a match and it's 13-13 in a third set, like, that's when you're going to be able to tell who they are as a person, as a volleyball, I guess more as a volleyball player, and if you guys can make it work or not.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Terese, we're going to shift topics one more time, and we're going to go to this one that now, by the time most people are listening to this episode, will be happening again. October 7th through 11th, I think, is off the top of my head. Elite 16 Newport Beach, California. I think this is just going to be such a great event, but you get to be at home for this one.
I know.
You're not taking the crazy flight across the country. Yeah. What are you most excited for about Newport Beach Elite 16?
I'm so excited to play an event at home. I'm really excited. My parents, my sisters are going to come, which is going to be really cool to be able to play in front of them. But even more than that, the United States hasn't hosted an international event in I don't know how long. It's been a couple of years. I've never played in an international event in the United States. And so this is going to sound silly, but to have the home team advantage and like have American fans in the crowd and be able to play in front of them and not be fighting a stadium who's not. Hopefully the American fans are cheering for us, you know? I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The level of volleyball is going to be really high, and it's just going to be so cool to be in California.
Yeah, I mean that stadium aspect is so interesting. Is that truly a thing when you're internationally just sometimes really feeling that a stadium they're not American fans, they're not going to be with you.
Yeah.
Like that's really something that you feel out there on the tour.
I think yeah. I mean, when we played against a Swiss team in Stade this year, and I do not know how many people were in that stadium, but when we got a point, absolutely silent. And I think like that's part of it, and part of me takes pride in silencing a stadium, and I enjoy that aspect of it. But for a nice change of pace, it would be cool to do something and hear people cheer. I think there's a lot to be said. The Brazil teams do super well in Brazil because people are there and cheer them on, and I think that's good for a point or two over a course of a match. And I mean, it's fun to experience both sides of it, but we have not experienced the playing in front of our home crowd side of it in a really long time. And so to be able to do that, I'm excited for it.
That's as good a pitch to anybody as you can possibly have. They need you out there, so
Yes,
get out
please
there.
come. Please
yeah,
come.
exactly. What has your experience been like with fans? And I want to bring in the AVP tour and obviously the new AVP league into this as well. But just your interactions with U.S. fans, and now you've had a chance to kind of be across the U.S. a little bit
Yeah.
playing beach volleyball. But what have those interactions been like? Any that stick out in your mind at all?
They're really cool. I think the fans are awesome. A big reason why I feel like I play beach volleyball is because I want to show that anyone can do it, and it's always kind of surreal when people are coming up and asking for an autograph or a picture or just saying, good job, congrats. And it means a lot to me, and it's really, really fun to be able to interact with them, and which is one of the things that I think is really cool about beach volleyball. Like if you're playing in the NBA, the players are on the court, then they're in the locker room, but we're walking around the beach and people can come up to us and talk to us, and it's been really cool to see how many people care about beach volleyball, because this is a sport that I love and spend all day, every day thinking about. And so the fact that people care enough to travel and come watch and want to meet us is very special.
And going off that, what is unique about the beach volleyball culture in Southern California? You split your time now between San Diego and kind of closer to the Manhattan Beach, Torrance area.
Yeah.
What is just so unique about this beach volleyball community that we have here?
I think they just love beach volleyball. That I am getting to know the San Diego beach volleyball community a little better, and they're awesome. So cool. The people that we meet down there are so nice, so genuine, and they love beach volleyball. And so it's really fun for me to be a part of that and to be part of the one up here and just see how much people are into it and how much they care about it, because I mean, I think it's the best sport in the world, and really cool to share that with everyone. I
mean, you've just been in like two of my favorite spots in the U.S.,
Yeah.
upstate New York and then San Diego. Gosh, love it.
Very lucky.
You're going to be playing a lot of the U.S. teams again.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of mental prep that you've got to do for that, knowing that, hey, everybody's going to be there and we're going to have to see these teams again? We just saw them in Brazil.
Yeah.
And we're going to see them again here in Newport.
I think we're just going to try and keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we watch film, they watch film, we practice against them, so everyone knows each other really well. And it's kind of, for me, I think sometimes I play best when the opponents are faceless, and it's just kind of like, okay, we're out there playing another pair. These are what we think their tendencies are. These are what we're going to try and do in terms of our game plan. But other than that, like, I don't know them or don't know anything about them. And I have found that works pretty well for me for the most part. And so trying not to think too hard about who we're going to play, what country they're from, and just execute on our own side and play the best we can.
That's the ultimate definition of focus on our side of the net, I feel like, right there. That's such an interesting point. When did you figure that out in college, that was really a strategy that worked for you?
I think it was in college. I just didn't know anyone. I was still so new to California. But I think over the last couple of years, as I've started to build relationships with players and we play the same teams over and over and over again, that is when I've kind of realized, like, it's between me and my partner, and we are executing and taking care of our side of the net. And then it doesn't matter who, I mean, it matters who we're playing in terms of what we're trying to do, but it doesn't matter about who they are, if that makes sense.
Going into Newport Beach and then afterwards with a couple more tournaments, then obviously with Worlds on the mind, do you feel like you have a lot of really good momentum based on your recent finishes going into these events?
I think so. I think Meg and I and Mike have really been focusing on world champs, and that has been our goal for the end of the year. So we're trying to compete as much as we can leading up to that so that we feel ready to go and in a good groove. And I think the more that we play the better. These last 2 weeks in Brazil were really cool, and I think we're very proud of both medals that we won. And I also think that we still think we can keep getting better. And so it's definitely good fuel, good motivating, and we're going to try and just keep getting better every time we step on the court.
Can't wait. Newport Beach Elite 16, once again, tickets are available October 7th through 11th. So if you're hearing this even during the competition, you can still go and buy tickets. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. Terese, I want to close with just some bigger picture questions. But obviously, I would assume, you talk about Worlds, you talk about, wanting to even improve. It seems like there's no possible way you can improve, but even with, you and with Meg, and then I would assume, as we touched on, I think briefly, LA 28 is one of the big goals. What can you just kind of elaborate on what your goals are individually and then also as a pair with Megan?
I think this year our goal was to qualify and do well in World Champs. And so we've qualified for World Champs, and we're really excited to go and compete and just see what happens. I think it's one of the biggest tournaments. It only happens every 2 years. I think one of the hardest tournaments to win because the best beach volleyball teams in the world are there. So we're really excited about that. That's a big goal for us. I think in terms of the next 3 or 4 years, we would love to qualify for the LA 2028 Olympics. I think it's a really cool opportunity to play in LA at home, a sport that we love. And to be able to represent our country in the Olympics is something that I have dreamed about for a very, very long time. And so, being able to do that would be absolutely incredible. And I think we have a lot of work to do to get there. The United States has amazing athletes that we have to compete against because there's a limited number of spots. So it's not going to be easy, but I think for Meg and I, we'd never have necessarily been looking for an easy thing to do. And so we're going to give it our all. But I think those are obviously the big goals over the next 4 years, but just continuing to improve and continuing to enjoy the process is kind of the more big picture goals that we have.
Terese, you've been more than generous with your time to come on the USA Volleyball Show. She repped the shirt.
I know, love
immediately
it.
when she
Pretty
came on here.
awesome.
She has spent
Thank
time
you.
with us on her birthday. Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Terese. The last question for you is, where can people follow you? Where can people stay tuned to your game beyond watching the Beach Pro Tour, beyond coming to the Newport Beach Elite 16?
Yes, please come.
Where can people follow you on your journey?
I have an Instagram account. My Instagram handle is just at Terese Cannon. I try to update, when we're playing and competing on there as much as possible. And so I think that's a pretty good place to follow me. So.
Terese, once again, thank you so much. Everybody, go watch Terese and our U.S. national teams at the Newport Beach Elite 16 one more time. And then also you can follow them for the rest of the year, the rest of their journey throughout their time with their partnership with USAV, whenever on the USA Volleyball Beach Pro Tour, the Beach Pro Tour, the Volleyball World. Wow, totally bundling this one at the end. Volleyball World on VBTV. We've got all of those links for you on the post for when we cover their matches. We've got all of the links for all of the events on the USA Volleyball page, on the events page on usavolleyball.org. I'm going to get out of here before I stop bumbling anything else and forgetting times and all of that. But once again, so great to be with you here on the USA Volleyball Show podcast. Thank you for listening, your official podcast for all things USA Volleyball, and we will catch you next time.
This has been the USA Volleyball Show with Steven Munson and Sevrin Lavenstein, produced by Curtis Ward. Our content producer is Laura Fawcett. Our marketing lead is Bree Jaycox. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share with your friends. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the USA Volleyball Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts.